Welcome back. This is the Now Morning Show, and we are so happy to be. I always enjoy when we are spread out like this, you know, taking up the entire set. And over the past few weeks, we have been speaking about the solutions to addressing some of the problems that we have been experiencing in our communities with regard to socioeconomic conditions impacting our communities, particularly impacting our young men. Well, today on the program, we have the Honorable Minister Shamfa Cudjoe, the Honorable Shamfa Cudjoe, Minister of Sport and Youth Affairs. Welcome, Minister. Welcome to the Now Morning Show.
Thank you, Lisa.
Good to have you.
Me. Good morning to everyone. And
Good morning.
Trinidad and Tobago. It's a pleasure to be here.
So we're talking about the Mpower program. So we're going to jump right in. Tell us exactly what is the Mpower program.
Mpower TT is a program that was developed by the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs to focus specifically on empowering young men. So the word Mpower is a play on the word EMPOWER, Empower. And we felt like over the years, much focus had been placed on empowering women. We would have been brought up in a setting where we have all these programs geared towards strengthening women, helping them in their development, a whole feminist agenda that would have taken place for a long period of time. And being a young woman that would have come out of those types of programs, I felt like we're leaving the boys behind or leaving the men behind. Just as women need to be developed, boys need to be developed and empowered also. In the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, we focus on the age group 16 to 29 as it relates to youth empowerment. So we would have done a program called the LEAP program, where we train young people in getting ready for the world of work, personal development, professional development. And that's impressed upon us how important it is to place some specific attention on the young men. In our own families, we're brought up differently, trained differently. I know in my family, the girls were guided and protected and supervised, over-supervised, and the boys had the opportunity pretty much lime in the streets, go to the beach on their own and do those type of things. If the boys were not excelling at school, it wasn't so much as a problem as if the girls weren't excelling. So there is something that needs to be changed in how we are cultured, in how we train our families and our young men. And I think that we've seen the implications over the years by the declining level of productivity among boys in schools, especially in certain communities and from certain backgrounds. So we decided to develop this program. A matter of fact, in Grenada, there is Mpower Grenada. So I liaised with Minister Kate from Grenada, and we worked on developing this thing. I took it and I went in a different direction along with the team in the ministry to develop Mpower TT and to make it suited to Trinidad and Tobago. So we have 4 components in the program. And the first component is about education. We've developed the program on 4 tenets: educating the young men, helping them to get the necessary life skills, guiding them as to what do you want to do with yourself, your life. So there's a career guidance component, and then we have mentorship. So the first one is the education part that treats with the M zone. So we've created these male-friendly zones where we turn your community center or basketball court or side of the street into a lounge type setting so that the young men will feel comfortable to share their story. So we've created we've created a platform. On the program, we have ambassadors and we have masters. So the ambassadors are the young men who the people in the community look up to, and they help us to get more young men in the community. The masters are the experienced men. So we have former commissioner of prisons, we have the commissioner of police, we have Dr. Raj Kumar, we have so many people, Mr. Arnold Best, we have Nigel Edwards from UTC, a host of different men from different backgrounds. We have Jaiga from the radio, John Wayne Benoit, so a nice mix. And this is not the brainchild of the ministry only. I would have approached Los Gens TT because I saw the wonderful work that they were doing in male development through their programs on social media. So we got together and we started developing this program. So we used their brain power also. So it's a partnership between the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs and Lotions TT. So I was speaking about component 1.
Yes.
So we've done.
You seem so excited and passionate. You can see you dripping with the passion
Because
for
it's
this
to
program.
dream about something and think about it, and we had been hesitant to roll it out because it had never been, we hadn't seen it done before from the ministry, so we had been hesitant. And as we reached out and interacted with the different stakeholders, and everybody got excited, Ministry of Social Development, Ministry of Child and Gender Affairs, and every ministry who's interested sent a different representative so we can work and build it together. And they're all volunteering their time, these ambassadors and the masters. From doctors, they come out and speak about sexual health, male reproductive health, the different problems that men face. One interesting part of the M Zone is I was not allowed to be in the room as a woman because the men wanted the opportunity.
See, that's why Rokas is sitting next to us.
It only makes sense. And I was going to ask about that because, you know, oftentimes that the ministers and the people who work in the ministry tend to have to be a part of the situation, whether it's for optics or whether it's for actual running of the event. So is it completely male run?
So it's a difficult thing to develop this thing in your head and not be able to feel the pulse in the room. So I can attend the M Zone, do the introductory speech, but then I must leave because I'm a woman. Yes, and that was one of the requirements. We had Errol Fabian, who was the host in the original set of M Zones, and we mix it up as we go along, but the young men were particular. They are uncomfortable about sharing their experiences with women in the room. So the women had to move all the way to the back or just exit the room. So I had to watch it over social media.
You know, considering the culture of the male mentality, that kind of macho way, how oftentimes men are told, you know, like, you can't go, you can't speak about your problems, you can't voice, and, you know, because it shows weakness. Right. How do you encourage young men to become a part of that program?
So we have a platform called, one of our topics for the M Zone is called Challenging Toxic Masculinity. And in each M Zone, we will cover that, what it is, what's your concept, or what was told to you as it relates to being a man. And we then discuss toxic masculinity. So the men in the room, I experienced that we have also social psychologists from Ministry of Social Development to help us to identify problems that we can't see with the naked eye, to provide follow-up assistance to these young men. And the platform, the environment, the setting is in such a way so that they're comfortable to share their stories. So if somebody's sharing a story and they don't want it to be recorded, they can say so. You know, so we try to create a comfortable place for them to be and really share their stories, and the older men would give their advice and share their experiences also. So I think we're on a 5th or 6th M Zone. We started in February, and then we had the whole COVID situation.
How did COVID impact the whole rollout of the program?
When we developed this program, we had catered to having 40 young men per session. On the first day, we had about 80. And then we moved to 120-something young men. So it was catching on, and people were tuning in online and coming to the different M Zones. And then COVID hit us. We thought about delivering it in a virtual format during that period when we weren't allowed to congregate at all. And we felt it was missing something. You had to feel the pulse. These young men are not going to type in their problems. It's already so difficult to get the feelings out of them. In the personal setting. So we decided to wait. And I'm glad that we did, because as soon as we got to go to have to congregate in numbers of 25 or less, we jumped right at it. And we are now doing M Zones with 25 or less participants, but we're also recording or carrying it live, streaming on Facebook and Instagram and so on. Yesterday, on Monday, we had the M Zone on sexual education, and that's a topic that you wouldn't expect men to be open about, but these young men were they were energized, they were excited, they were eager to share. And I had people who tuned in virtually, messaging the following day saying, we can't wait for the next one.
You have probably tapped into something really profound, because I've been part of a number of programs in communities, and what we found is that you would start with a large number, and then it dwindles down to probably 8. So you might start with 50 and end up with 8. But you're saying the opposite. You're saying you started with 80 and now you're 100 and something. What do you think is the cause? What is the reason that the young people, the young men especially, are tapping into this particular program?
I think we're using the assistance of young men who they want to be like. So I think liaising with or partnering with Loschen's TT and other groups, because we reached out to the groups that have male programs in the community, so in the Maloney area, the basketball group and so on, and they brought their participants, and everybody would tell somebody else. It's about taking the talks to them. So we take the talks to their communities. When we went to Tobago, we went to Barcode. So we shut down Barcode for the day. And
you know where Barcode is, by the way?
So if you're passing along Milford Road and you're seeing this big gathering at Barcode, we didn't stop anybody from coming in. Once you're a man, you want to hear, come on in. And so it was set up in such a way so it would be not just at schools and community centers, but at the basketball court where you usually congregate, at the bars in your area, to make it comfortable. We set it up in a lawn style so you feel like I'm sitting in a living room somewhere and I'm just sharing and sharing.
But with regards to the doing it online now and the live streaming and all that, does that affect the way that people express what they have to express?
No, because we have an in-studio or a live audience that's already going to start the question.
Okay.
Now, we worked with MIC. So MIC, the MIC cohort is made up of young men who went to high school, didn't get their subjects, and ended up deciding, okay, I'm going to learn a trade. And I'm glad that the government provides that other avenue for those young men. So they are sort of starting over and looking for a proper way to journey from boyhood into manhood. So they already have their guidance counselors at school. So we worked through the guidance counselor, the men who helped to lead the MIC program. So they bring their cohort and they can tell their friends. So it's like an after school kind of hangout. And once that continues to go well, we're going to find ways of expanding it into the community so we can touch more young people. But so far, so good, and I'm glad this program is going the way it is.
I want to know how you guys decided on which masters you choose. Because as you said, like people like Jaiga, and you had people from UTC, and you had a wide variety. How did you decide on these men?
Men who would have helped in the ministry working in our programs before, because we started off doing the LEAP program, which is life skills development. So we would have known some of them from the life skill development. And then we have the 40 under 40 program, where we take young entrepreneurs into the schools to tell young people, to show young people that this whole myth about going to school and getting 5 subjects and everything would be okay, it's not true. So we have the entertainers, the businessmen, the fashion designers, Shop Shari, you name it. We have Candice Guppy-Sobian, who would have done candy-coated events, hairdressers, makeup artists, the non-traditional programs or career paths that if you told your mother that when you were 16 years old, it would have been a no. But they have excelled. We have different entertainers, different people on board.
Part of it as well.
Hands as well.
Hands is a part of it. Also, we have athletes like Cleopatra Burrell.
Very nice, a 40 under 40 as well.
So we take them into these schools, and these young people get to ask them about their journey and the different challenges and learning roadie, you name it. We chose from different backgrounds, people who were willing to volunteer their time and participate in these schools. So we met the majority of the men from that program who put us in contact with other programs and other men from other programs. So we listened out, we found Gerald Wilson, who was a former commissioner of prisons. We reached out to the commissioner of police, he agreed. So we have a nice mix. Your doctor is on board. We have psychologists on board. So it's a nice, decent, beautiful mix of men. It's about changing the narrative. Oftentimes we are told the bad stories about young people and young men in our society. And we know that they are positive stories. In my journey in the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, I met young people doing amazing things. So it was about putting the spotlight on those people so that other young people can say, hey, I can be positive too. I can do something with my life too. So it's about that personal engagement where they get to interact and learn from each other's experiences.
Minister, you spoke about some of the topics, but I know you had started to introduce some of the topics that are being covered by Mpower. You just want to give us an idea of the breadth of topics.
We started with I Am Man, and that's the platform or the foundation dialogue, because it draws out of the young man, what did they tell you about being a man? What do you think being a man is all about? We have sessions on fatherhood, on social responsibility in your community, who you're supposed to be as a young man, as a mentor in your society, your relationships with people in your society. We are covering substance abuse, sexual education, grooming, and personal hygiene.
I find you stressed that one a little bit plenty there, boy.
Grooming and personal hygiene, you name it. Gang violence,
which is so
and
important.
crime,
It's critical.
goal setting, mapping, visioning, entrepreneurship, education. What do you want to do with your life? So we have 12 different topics, and then we have an open session, just in case you want to talk about something again, or just in case there's a topic we would have missed. And we think that crime and violence may call for another session, so we left the space to allow that type of interaction once again. And once we continue to proceed in or make this type of progress, we're going to expand and expand and expand. And right now the program spans Trinidad and Tobago. So we're doing some sessions in Trinidad, some sessions in Tobago. But we have been having conversations with stakeholders in Tobago to have one exclusively for Tobago and exclusively for Trinidad.
What about follow-up? So these young people would come.
Right, good.
What
So I was
happens
talking
next?
about the 4 components. So component 1 is the M zones, where
education,
right.
right.
Component 2 is life skills training, where we give them a 5-week training on different life skills, how to tie a tie, how to eat with a knife and fork. You name it, all the different things they're interested in.
So these ones, the ones that are happening now, these are the 1-day sessions.
Is it
Yeah, these are the educational
first
ones,
one.
right?
So
And then we have the second component that comes after these 12 sessions, where we spend 5 weeks with those who are interested in doing that training for 5 weeks. Then we have that, after covering the 5 weeks, you should have an idea of what I want to do with my life, where I want to head next. We have a career guidance component, that's the third part, where we sit with each one. What do you want to do? You want to go back to school? You want to learn a skill? You want to set up a business? And we put them in touch with we have placement officers in the ministry to help them to get on their feet. Then the fourth component involves the 8-week internship, where you're going to get an opportunity to experience what is this thing that you've dreamt about, this career or this business plan that you've dreamt about. We spend 8 weeks with somebody who's already doing it, and we're offering in that part a mentorship component. And the mentorship can be simply for the 8 weeks, or the mentors being trained to do it for as long as they would like, as long as the young man agrees, or if the person is underage, that their parent agrees.
And the age we're talking about is 16 to 29?
16 to 29.
So how do young men, I know people are looking at this and probably thinking, how can I get my son, my neighbor, my friend, or myself?
Them fellas don't know.
Them fellas asking for a friend.
Yes, that's the hashtag. How can they get involved?
They can contact the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, and we've made the social media very easy and accessible. We have a Facebook page. We also have Mpower TT Facebook page. We have Mpower TT Instagram page also. And once you send your message, we respond and get you in. Yes, but for right now, we have to keep that 25
for in the room.
Right. But if you want to tune in, anybody, if you're home on a Thursday evening and you want to tune in, you just log right in. And
Thursday, what time? What time is it on Thursday?
We start at 5:30.
Okay, and that's anybody can log on.
Yes, we're supposed to end at 7:30, but
sometimes.
So how do you get the link? Once you message, it's sent to you?
No, it's available on the
available online. You can just go on and click, and you're part of the discussion.
That's a good one. Yeah.
And Minister, are there any plans for the individuals who would have benefited from the program to contribute toward their communities afterward?
Yes, of course, because they would be able to get training through the ministry from the National Mentorship Program, which we are now we've done the studies to remodel, and we're working on doing the full remodeling. By the time we get to that component, that would have been completed, and we would have trained a first cohort of mentors. And once you communicate with the ministry, you have a program, you have a plan, we would work with you to execute it in your community. The good thing is that many of our stakeholders already have groups in their community, and just looking for the right technical resources to get it going.
Support.
And the ministry is on board to provide that support.
Sounds good, Minister Shamfa Cudjoe. I think this is such an excellent program. I don't know how you guys feel.
Yeah,
but
I feel empowered.
I feel like we can do, I think we can do it a round of applause kind of situation. No, it's really sounding extremely inspiring, and we just want you to keep us up to date as to what's happening with the program
how the
as it
impact has
rolls
been,
out.
because we see it around us, all around us, how sometimes that oftentimes in the news you see men being in the negative spotlight for whatever reasons, various reasons, and it's very nice to see, enlightening to see a program specifically dedicated to helping young men be the best version of themselves that they can possibly be. So congratulations.
And it's not just like a stopgap. It's sort of, it begins.
It's a proper plan.
Properly well thought.
I mean, I kind of want. I kind of like.
You want to do it? You want to do it?
No, I want to ask. I want to ask about. This time we headed into elections and all that, right? Is this program set up in a way where it doesn't matter if you continue being the Minister of Sport and Youth Affairs, that it will continue?
When I joined the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, that had been my sole priority. I met a ministry that didn't have strong youth programs, and when I joined the ministry, I remember my first interview with TV6, I said, I came from the youth. Yes, they came to my office on the day, so I had to. Right, they asked, what's your experience in sport? Why are you suited to be the sport minister? And I said, we often forget that this is a ministry of youth and sport. Oftentimes, wherever you place youth, the other part of the ministry drowns it.
Yeah.
And I said, I came from a youth development background. That's my forte. Sport hadn't been my forte. And that went far by people saying, oh, she doesn't know anything about sport. She doesn't care about sport. But the youth development component is equally important, because oftentimes you find Ministry of Social Development now trying to fix problems that should have been addressed when these young people were coming up. So it's a very important part of my portfolio.
Sport and youth sort of have some
hand in hand. So we would have a youth program, and the media would come to the program to ask me, okay, so what's going on in sport?
Yeah.
So the whole idea is to bring youth development to the forefront and develop programs that the ministry can carry after I or anybody leaves this. We must have a strong youth development agenda.
Yeah.
The young people of this nation should know this is our agenda.
Yeah.
And once you have a robust policy and agenda, if the minister changes and you remain adamant, this is our agenda.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the ministry's agenda. Of course, a minister could come in and stop a program. But if the staff of the ministry and the youth population and their youth groups are accustomed to this program and they feel touched and inspired by this program, they would lobby for that program to continue. So we've developed these programs. I'm particularly proud about the LEAP program, which is in life skills development, professional development, and getting them ready for the world of work, their personal development also. Then we have the 40 under 40, which had been done for the first time. We are now into a third cycle of 40 under 40, and Mpower TT. And they have joined the other programs in the ministry, and I hope that it outlives me. And outlives
Minister, we're going to have you back on.
It better.
You need to come back on the show again as we progress later on to find out how the programs are progressing. But guys, we're out of time. That's it.
Fantastic.
Thank you
so
for
much.
having me. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, Trinidad and Tobago.
All right, so we're going to take in a few messages. When we come back, we have our remaining moments on the show here on the Now Morning Show, so stay with us.